Hey everyone, welcome to the fourth Geo Curator call. Great to have everybody back. We've had a really exciting week last week as we opened things up and had people start to claim their first bounties and start publishing content. It's been really exciting to see all of that happening. Um, Let me share my screen and we'll go ahead and kick things off for this week. So, where are we at? Um, yeah, last week we started off with a few hundred bounties that we created and people have gone through and started um requesting access to bounties. We've started allocating. A lot of it has been a bit of a manual process for the time being as we streamline some of the automation in our app. But I'm gonna have Adam kind of give a walkthrough of we're at with everything. So, Adam, how's it been?
Hey everyone, nice to see so many of you on the call. Thanks a lot to all the people that reached out on Discord, that responded to the emails or emailed me, whether it was around feedback or whether it's because you've been hard at work on your first bounties. We had a bit of an oversubscription issue last week. It's always a good problem to have when we have, so many people that are excited to contribute. And we're rolling out a lot of new bounties and improving the bounty assignment process. That's going to be our priority this week. So just wanted to give you guys a bit of a recap of what's to be expected. So first off, on the bounty update. So we've created a whole lot of new bounties over the weekend. We're going to be adding them to the Curator app very, very soon, probably by tomorrow or very early this week. The idea is for everybody to get the chance this week to make their first publication on Geo. So you'll be able to browse the bounties. We're going to be rolling out improvements as well so that the kind of information overload um, is a little bit better, so that you're able to see the bounties that are still kind of open where nobody's been allocated. And as you might have seen, we've also included a system for the Geo team to be able to directly allocate people inside of the bounty. So a lot of new things are going to be deployed this week. It's going to make bounty allocation much better. It's going to help us redistribute it so that it's a bit more fair and everybody has a bounty, and that's really the goal this week. If you haven't been assigned a bounty yet, so we manually reached out to a lot of people last week to give them a bit of guidance and to assign them a bounty. But don't worry, if you haven't heard from us, you'll hear from me in the next couple of days. I'm going to be emailing you with some ideas of bounties that I think could match your profiles very well. I've looked at everybody's profile. Anybody that was interested over the last couple of weeks in a bounty, you will receive some communication, and you'll also be able to re-register your interest to new bounties through the app. A couple of shout outs. We have a lot of exceptional curators, and a lot of you have already started to work on some really interesting topics. You shared with us your data sets, and you've been in touch with the editors to review them and to publish them on Geo. So shout out to Thomas, Levin, Ewan, Kalyan, Mike, Vidali, Rufat, and Jimu. There's a lot of you that have been also, working and I've missed you. I'm sorry, and we'll make sure to, give a few shout outs to some of the top contributors every week. We're introducing something a little bit unique. We really want to be there to guide you through your first publication and make sure that you understand how Geo works, understand how you structure data in Geo, and that you have a good first experience. So we're rolling out mentors. It's a mentorship program. Some of you have already been assigned a mentor. For the rest of you, once you get a bounty, I'll be emailing you and giving you the information of your mentors. They're either people that are part of our editor team, or it'll be me and Arturas. But yeah, don't worry, you'll hear all and you'll get all the information via email. And yeah, just to repeat, the goal is this week everybody gets a bounty, and you'll also get assigned a mentor as soon as you get a bounty. And then we're yeah, rolling out a lot of fixes to the bounty assignment system and to the curator app so that it's easier to navigate the different bounties, easier to pick one. And we hope everybody gets to publish something.
Thanks,
Yaniv, over
Al.
to you.
Perfect. So yeah, for this week, we're going to continue with what we were doing last week and hopefully get everybody through the flow of claiming their first bounties, publishing their first content, to echo some of what Adam was saying. We appreciate the patience from people who haven't had bounties allocated yet. We weren't actually expecting so many hundreds of people all requesting at the same time, and it was a lot, stress testing our systems to make sure that we're really finding the best fit for everyone. So we're streamlining as we go. But definitely don't worry if you haven't gotten a bounty allocated to you yet. Um, we're just working through the backlog. It's totally fine. It's not something where, you're behind or something because you haven't done it yet. So we're just gonna, work our way through the process and get everybody sorted. Um, as we, start with this process, the way that we've been handling it is we're starting and we're being a little bit more just kind of, accepting and kind of permissive on standards for different things because we want everybody to be able to go through the process of publishing and start to kind of just learn by doing. We're on testnet, it's fine. Um, but we also want to be improving things as we go. And so before we publish a ton of content, it's actually much better to publish a bit of content at first, get it reviewed, make sure you're touching base with somebody, and so that if there's adjustments that we need to make, that we can make those adjustments early before publishing large amounts of content. So for this week, we want to take some time to fine tune the ontologies, right, to fix some of the published data that's already been published, and then get everybody publishing something. So, early on, let's definitely go for quality over quantity. Let's use this as an opportunity to learn, to get feedback. And then once you have, high confidence that you're structuring things the right way, then we can, go for a bit more scale and publish much more. A few updates from last week. So we announced, I believe it was on Thursday, that GRC20 is officially frozen. So huge milestone. We gave you guys a heads up that this was coming, but just really incredibly thrilled that we've hit this milestone. GRC20 is a spec that we've been working on for around 2 years. Um, it's I've I've lost many, sleepless nights, just stressing about every detail of the specification. It really matters because this is the foundation on which everything is built. Um, and what this means is that we now have a defined standard for composable knowledge graphs. And for anyone who's played around with this stuff over the last 2 years, we've kind of made it available for experimentation. I mean, you'll know that, when the spec changes, it breaks everything. And, you really do need that minimum set of primitives that are stable, that everything else can be built on top of. And so, you can, with GRC20, evolve your ontologies and how you structure your knowledge, and all of those things are dynamic and will evolve over time. But the base primitives that you want to be very stable. So the indexers will continue functioning, the clients can continue functioning, um, uh, and any app that you build, will continue to run and it's not going to break in the future. And so now that we have stabilized GRC20 and we've frozen the spec, you can build with confidence. So this is a really exciting milestone. Um, and you can check out the spec is now under the Geo browser repo on GitHub. We have a GRCs, or I should say organization. We have a GRCs repo. And GRC20 is the first GRC that we now have in the finalized state. Um, so the spec is now very readable. I'll even pull it up real quick so we can all see it. You go to Geo browser on GitHub, GRCs, and you'll see it now. It's split across two files to make it a little bit more legible, but we updated a lot of the content just to make it a lot more readable. So hopefully you find this readable. We go over the data types. We go over entities, relations, types, properties, core types and things. And yeah, so this is it. We've got our standard. Um, okay. We've got a lot of improvements coming this week to the Curator app, to the to GeoGenesis. Let's take a brief look at the Curator app to see where we're at with things. Um, we've got our bounties here, and what we'll see is that we've had a lot of people expressing interest in our different bounties. So here's a bounty for the health space, and we had 59 curators express their interest for this bounty, which is really cool. We've started rolling out a new feature here to actually allocate people inside of the app. This was something we had planned, but it was not actually built last week. So now it looks like it's started to roll out, where since I'm an editor of the space, I can allocate people and we can see who's kind of allocated. So as a reminder, right, this kind of allocation mechanism is something that we've done to just try to remove duplicated work and prevent too many people from working on the same bounties at the same time. We want you to have, a good sense that if you start working on something that's been allocated to you, that there's a good chance that it'll get accepted and you'll get your points for it. So as much as possible, we're trying to kind of divvy up the work that's being done. Um, so if you've expressed interest in something, but it hasn't been allocated to you, um, worth waiting until it gets allocated, and that'll prevent that duplicated work from happening. Um, we started with over 100 bounties, but that was not enough. We've added some more bounties over the last few days, and we're going to be adding a lot more even starting today. So hopefully we'll have bounties for everyone. Again, thank you for your patience. If you're still waiting to get a bounty allocated to you. One thing that happened that we're going to be kind of streamlining, making it a little smoother, is previously we had these bounties with different difficulties, and the easy bounties had this kind of self-assigned thing. This was something that we thought might be interesting, but I think in the end, it was just confusing, at least at this stage. Um, the idea was if it was an easy bounty, you could just assign it to yourself and start working on it. The reality is, even easy bounties, it's worth kind of divvying up a little bit so that people aren't working on the same things, just like the other bounties. So we're going to be removing the self-assignment feature, and basically all the bounties for the time being, you'll want to have allocated to you. So we had some questions come in about this. If you did self-assign something to yourself, just realize, we're just going to ignore that and we're going to continue allocating bounties to people. So hopefully that answers that question. Um, we have been manually sending out emails to people when we've allocated the bounties to them. We're going to continue to do that for the next few days, but we're also in the process of integrating our email notifications. So you'll automatically get an email when you get allocated bounty in the app. I'll be able to check it out in the Curator app and get started. So this is a highly requested feature. We should have it for you in the next few days, and that should help streamline things. On our side, we're also working on some better views where we can more quickly see what curators have not had any bounties assigned to them yet, and things like that that will help us uh, more quickly assign bounties to people. So these are some of the things that we're currently working on. Team is hard at work. We want to really streamline the process. And again, thanks for all the patience as we get some of these things streamlined. We do have another feature that has been highly requested. We've been wanting to build it, and we'll start on it soon, but we're not going to have it right away. And that is private reviews. So a bunch of you have been sending over, CSVs, documents, to kind of get our input on your initial data sets. That has been really helpful. So thank you and continue doing that. We're really happy to provide feedback ahead of you publishing. Um, so let's continue doing that. And at some point in the short to medium term, we will have this private reviews feature where you can just submit that in the app directly. And it doesn't go on chain. So you can get a private review before you actually publish. Uh, and so I think that'll be a great part of the flow, but it's going to take us just a little bit to get there. So um, something to look forward to. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the content that has been getting published in the app. Let me actually start with. First of all, it's been really cool to see. Most of our spaces. This is broken right now. We're fixing that. It was something that we changed in how we link people to the edits that they publish. So some of the history stuff that we see is going to look a little bit wonky. If we come in the governance flow, the governance tab, we see people's profiles correctly, and we can see all kinds of proposals that have been getting published. Just super exciting. Um, but it is cool to see, over 100, 150 or so people um, joining our different spaces. So we have our editors, and then we have uh, already quite a few members that have joined these spaces. So definitely feels like we're off to the races. Um, there's a few things that I want to kind of point out that I think will be instructive to people as they start publishing their content. Good to just kind of learn as we go through and start doing this. So the first thing we'll do is we'll see we had a bunch of people publish to the crypto space, which is super cool. Um, and if we want to see an example, we can search for, see if I get the name right. Not going to get the name right. Um, Adam, can you look for me what the founder of, shoot, um, okay, I'm
Tell
going
me.
to come back to this person. It's Pellegrino, but I don't know how to spell his name, apparently. Um, is the founder of Zero. Uh, okay. Well, we have a bunch of people. We can see who they are here.
Of layer
Uh,
zero? It's Pellegrino,
yeah,
just
layer
like the
zero, yeah.
here, I'll send it to you in the chat. It's the
Great. Let's see. So this was accepted. Let's look at Peter McCormack. Is a person. So here's a person who got published. Awesome. We have some content. We have a description. This is looking good. We have a website, roles. So this is all looking quite good. And then we have this like link image. Now I'm not sure what this link image property is, but we've got a nice avatar here and it is not showing up here. So this has been happening with a few people here. Um, we've got same thing if we look here, see we can see it in the maybe there if we look at Camilla Russo, we'll see the same thing. We've got a great content area here. Now we have two images. Now this one is not her, this one is her. So that's interesting. Roles are correct, skills are correct. Worked at Bloomberg, now works at the Defiant. So that would be nice to have. So the first thing to kind of call out is, you can create any properties that have, the different data types. So it can be text, it can be an integer, it can be an image, which is not a native data type, right? But is a higher level renderable type that we have to display something as an image. But the things that show up at the top, uh, those that only happens if you use the special um, properties, specifically avatar and cover, right? So we have different types of here. We see like a banner, and that banner is set when you set the cover. Oh, now I guess we stopped showing it down here. That was a product decision I guess we made, is that the cover and the avatars no longer show at the bottom. They only show at the top. But you could imagine you would see like an avatar or a cover down here, but really that just shows in the UI. So you want to look specifically for those properties, right? If we look at cover, we'll see that there's a property in the geospace, right? And it's an image renderable type, right? The native data type here is a relation. Um, even relation is not a true native data type. That's something I'm not going to go into it now. We've been discussing this, but it's here. It's a relation data type, and it's an image renderable type, and it's a property. So if you come here, you can like copy the ID, for example, and that's the cover that you want to use if you want a banner. And then we also have this avatar property, same thing, right? It's an image renderable type. And this is what you want to use if you want your image to show up as a thumbnail, right? So it's very common to have, most of these things will have, cover images that'll show up like this. But specifically, if it's like a person or a project, right, you want to have things like logos. The logos tend to be more square like this. And so you'll want to use the avatar for things like logos and profile photos, and you'll want to use covers for all the other beautiful imagery. So hopefully that makes sense. One more thing that we changed, and usually we will not be making kind of breaking changes, but we did do this one early last week. And in general, if you make breaking changes, the right way to do it is to create new properties. We didn't do that, so apologies ahead of time. We will, I think, probably all just want to update these values, and this will be maybe one of the last times we do something like this. Um, but we did implement a new feature for certain types of URLs that is this new format string. So with format, we put something in that is like a template string that looks like this. And what this allows us to do is make it so that we don't have to repeat the full URLs for every, website type. If you have, a social media URL, Instagram.com/LinkedIn.com/ whatever, all of these things, it's just a lot of wasted characters. Now, we do want these to be the URL renderable type so that you can see it kind of as a link. But we don't want to have to duplicate all of this text every time. So now with these new template formats, you will be able to just put the handle, right? So in this case, we would want to just have Gemini, and then it will interpolate that full path for you so that you can click it and it'll take you right there. Now, in this case, it's broken because we actually stored the full URL, and now it's being added to that template string. And so now it's duplicated twice. So we have to actually go through, and I know a lot of people did this on their personal profiles. Honestly, we probably should have just created a new property for this. But we can still do that if we want, but I'm going to recommend that we just update these. And sorry for that change. Let's go ahead and get that fixed. Places, and that should be a nice way to do all of our social media links going forward. Things like website will stay the same. So this works here, right? It's a URL renderable type. I click on that, I come to the Gemini website. So that is fantastic. Um, cool. So a few things as we go through, but hopefully it's all starting to make sense and people are kind of getting a feel for how to publish this content. Um, let's take a look at some more content that people have published. So we started getting some job postings, which is really cool. So here we have a job posting. The cover was set correctly, which is awesome. Here, for an enterprise sales lead job. Probably in this case, it would be nice to have for these job openings the title and the company, probably in the name. Ideally, the names are kind of like fully describing of things, so that's a nice little tip. The description looks great. This follows our guidelines where we want descriptions to be no more than 2 sentences. Full sentence case with periods. So this looks like a perfectly formatted description. Great job. And that's great because when you're searching for things, you'll actually see the description show up, right? So if I'm looking for an enterprise sales lead, and I'm not sure exactly what something is, I'll see here that there's a job in the crypto space and I can see the description. And so you want that shorter kind of description here. So this is perfect. We do see here that there's an application URL, and it's something here that's being rendered um, not as a URL type. So this is something that we want to update, and it's something that so as a general pattern, what we want to do is um, use if we have certain sorts of things, in this case, I think it does make sense to have it on this entity. So application URL makes sense. This becomes an interesting just kind of ontology question, whether we want to call things URL, whether we want to use different property names in different contexts. Um, so let's have discussion about these things for the different types to try to converge on the same kind of patterns. Um, but for sure, we would want something like this to have the URL renderable type instead of text. So that's an improvement we could make. Um, here we have department and it's written as text. I mean, I think we want most things to be relations. So this is really great. For project, we have a relation to the project, OP Labs, which is a company. So fantastic work there. That's exactly what we want to see. In this case, we have tags, we have employment type, which here is also a relation to the full-time employment type. Killer. This is exactly what we want. One thing though is here, so we have this full-time employment type and it's in the crypto space. If we search, we'll probably see, well, first of all, so we have a bunch of duplication here. So I'm not sure what we did, but potentially we created new entities a bunch of times, and we should look into why that is. And we should actually clean these up and like delete the duplicates. We do not want all of these full-time entities in the crypto space. And we'll also see we have this full-time type in the geo space. So probably what we want, right, is if there's something that's defined at a higher level, like the geospace, probably doesn't need to also exist in, the subspaces. We can just use the existing one. So probably that's the best thing to do. And then we would have a relation to that one that is defined in the geospace and the root, which is, it's the root space. And that would be better. For location, same thing. Right here we have this Japan is as text. But if we look for Japan, we'll see a place here. It's a country in the places space. And so this is another example. You'd want to make this a relation. You'd want to kind of find or create, maybe build some scripts so that you can try to find the best match that already exists. And that could be a relation. And yeah, I think we want to do the same thing here with departments. So these are the sorts of things that you'll see early on when you kind of give it a stab. Um, that I think it is worth fixing these things. So I think a good way to do it is to just do a few before, even if the bounty says to upload 100, honestly, totally fine to start uploading one or two, get feedback, and that way, before you upload all of them, you'll know that you're doing it the right way. But it's just super exciting to see these edits already coming through and people publishing content, and we're really off to the races. So, great job to everyone who's already started publishing content. Um, as I mentioned, I think the track that we're going to take for now is to just approve pretty permissively. We want people to see what it feels like to publish their content, get it accepted, be able to review it, or to see it live, and that'll be part of our learning process. Um, so, we'll only reject things if there are big issues with it, but then we want to clean things up once it's landed. Once we've gone through this initial phase and we have, hundreds of curators that, are that everybody's really trained and experienced, then we'll start, having a much, maybe more stringent review before approving. But for now, we're going to be more lenient. That also means, don't be surprised if you see things getting published that aren't perfect yet. This is all part of our learning process. Um, so that's kind of our process here. Adam, could I kick it over to you for just a few minutes to share a little bit about next steps, and I'll be back in just 2 minutes.
Sure. Let me just pull up the slides then. Or do we not have any slides? No. Okay. So yeah, next steps, guys. As we mentioned, we're going to be launching a ton of new bounties. The team has been hard at work this weekend. We're really excited to get everybody kind of onto Geo and publishing. You'll be receiving an email from me. In the email, I'll be assigning you a bounty or proposing you a bounty. So if you've already registered interest in some bounties that are not allocated, we did a bit of reallocation and we shifted things around. If you've already registered interest in a bounty, you might receive an email to be assigned this bounty. But in the kind of 50 or 100 new bounties that we're going to be putting on Geo, um, I personally, with the editors, kind of went through all of your profiles, all of your skill sets, and we've chosen a few bounties that we think could be a good fit for you. This is kind of just the first step kind of to get you comfortable with Geo and to get you started. So don't worry, you'll have, tons of other opportunities and other bounties. So we'll be sending you a few emails as well with like proposals. If you don't want that bounty, if you don't feel like it, no worries. You'll be able to register your interest into the other bounties that are going to be posted on Geo. But if you are, excited to get started, feel free to just respond to my email and say that you're happy with that bounty. So yeah, some bounties, some new bounties to come, some new mentor opportunities which will, help you guide you through the publishing process. And yeah, this week is going to be really great. A few things. It's mentioned in the chat, but I'm going to resend it in the chat if anybody that has had issues accessing the spaces or that hasn't yet been accepted. This is a known issue that we fixed last week. You should be able to re-request as kind of to join the space, but you need to do it through the links that I've just sent in the chat. It doesn't work through the Curator app, and we're going to be fixing that today. So yeah, if you haven't been accepted in spaces, please re-request and feel free to message me on Discord or by email if you have any bugs. A few of you have been sending us some info, and thank you. Super helpful. Maybe a few questions as we have still a little bit of time. Or Yaniv, do you want to? Is there anything that I've missed in the next steps?
No, I think that's great. Yeah, happy to take any questions or feedback.
So we have one question from Livan. Livan has been one of our most advanced contributors so far. So thank you for everything you've already worked on. Quick question. I'm not officially allocated a bounty, but have it about 80% done. Is it worth sending to the curator for feedback? So Livan, this is a good question, actually. We have just recently rolled out the kind of the curator allocation through the Curator app. So as mentioned, we manually assign people via email. Now we're able to assign you through the app. Don't worry, you don't need to wait until you're officially assigned. I'm going to try and assign everybody today via the Curator app, so you should see your name. But if you've received an email, it's very official. You've been chosen and assigned to this bounty, so you can. Um, what I would suggest though is to make sure you've connected with your mentor, the editor that's going to be in charge of reviewing your bounty and can hop on a quick call with you and kind of, take you step by step through the publishing process just to make sure you have the ontologies that are set up correctly and everything that's set up correctly. I think that's our main goal is for everybody to make a as perfect as possible contribution this week.
Well
Guys, any
said.
other questions? If you want to send them in the chat.
We had a question about nicknames here. So, um, just kind of a reminder of our positions on names. Do be advised that, your public profile, just like everything else that you publish on Geo, is public on chain. Only publish what you feel comfortable publishing publicly. That said, we do have a strong preference for real names. We think that using real names when it comes to publishing knowledge is actually really helpful for establishing reputation and trust and to improve coordination. So, people that are working in similar areas can find each other. Think of working in an industry and going to industry events and being able to recognize people and collaborate. And, we think that that's actually very useful for collaboration. Um, in general, we would say use, pseudonymous names if you really feel like, you don't want to be public with the work that you're doing. There are legitimate reasons for that. We just don't think that that should be like the norm or the main way that people contribute to public knowledge. Um, and regardless of which direction you go, we do want names to be like uniquely identifiable. Um, I've been kind of letting it slide for now, but we have gotten a lot of, Mike, you know, uh, Janet, whatever, just first names. And when we move to mainnet, we're not going to approve those, right? Because people need to actually be able to know who people are, identify them, distinguish them. Your name should really be like a fully qualified thing where if you see this person in this space, right? Say you're active in the crypto space or you're active in the health space, you really want that combination of name and space to really be uniquely identifiable. People know who you are just by seeing that. So, um, we'll let it go for now, but if you haven't done it yet, or if you can change your name, please, those are the guidelines that we're asking for. And yeah, you can change the name. That's the thing. You can always change your own name. And the other thing that we can do is we can change people's names within the context of a public space, right? So you might claim that your name is Mike in your personal space, but in the crypto space, or maybe they're like, okay, we'll let this guy in, but like that's not unique enough. This is Mike from XYZ or whatever, like that, or if your last name is known, maybe they'll add it just, again, we don't want to dox people. So like there's going to be really interesting conversations to be had on, principles of how we organize ourselves in this decentralized world. But with pluralism, people can change people's names in the public space so that it's more usable in that public context. And that can happen. But yeah, you can always change it after the fact. Uh, but the way it works is within the public space, they can overwrite, any of the content that's published in these like subspaces. And so that's what allows the governance to ultimately have the final say on how the knowledge shows up in those public spaces.
Really good
Uh,
question from Vid, maybe Yaniv. Vid is one of our top AI researchers, and he had a question about, is there a property type for dynamic data? Example, GitHub stars. Interested in your take on that kind of data.
Yeah, really interesting question. I mean, what we would have for stuff like that is we would want to have essentially like oracles. Um, and the way that I would see that happening, because basically we do want to bring all of the world's public knowledge and information on chain and make it verifiable, make it attributable. So let's say that you had a data source like GitHub stars or whatever. I mean, we could always point to, the GitHub API or something, but now you've introduced a centralized source of failure um, and we don't want to be dependent on all of these external services. Really, what we want to do is bring all of that content kind of on chain. And so you could have like an Oracle or something like that that maybe batches large amounts of content, publishes it on chain. Um, and we can also integrate with things like, the graphs, subgraphs or substreams or AMP as an, you have also other smart contracts, right, that are dynamic and changing. And so whether it's any arbitrary smart contract that is dynamic or changing, or whether it's some kind of a data feed that is like an oracle that gets updated on chain. We want both of those to be supported in the future. But what we're likely not going to do is just support arbitrary web URLs because then it's not composable and it's not verifiable, and we want to bring everything into an open composable verifiable graph. But we do want that graph to be real time. So that's how we think about that. Um, all right. We did get a question here about um, when to see the rewards. So that's going to be one area that we're going to be lagging a little bit on. It'll all end up in the same place. So thanks for your patience there. But currently, we're prioritizing getting people assigned bounties and making sure that everybody has good things to work on. So the team is like fully focused on that for the time being. Once we get caught up on that, then we'll go through and start reviewing the proposals that have been published and allocating points to everybody. So it may take us even a few weeks to start actually allocating the points, and you'll see the points show up in your curator dashboard. So thanks for your patience there, just while we work through the backlog and get everybody productive.
Yeah, but just as a reassurance, we've been, for those for with whom we've already reviewed your data, we're tracking everything very minutely, and you will always get the points for bounty that you completed.
Mhm. All right. Yeah, really great questions. Um, so hopefully that helps clarify where we're at. We're very appreciative for everybody that is, helping us beta test and really pushing this thing to the limit. There's only so much that you can find on your own. And so for us, it's just so incredibly valuable to have people rolling up their sleeves and doing this stuff. So thank you all so much for the great work you've been doing, diving in. Um, Please continue to be, uh, sharing and, share your experience in Discord. If you've tried something, let people know how it went. Continue to ask your questions, just share your progress. I think it's really helpful for people to see other people's work. Um, Part of our building community here. And, you guys can also collaborate together, uh, but we do have our mentor program, as Adam mentioned at the beginning, where we're going to be pairing everybody up with a mentor. And hopefully that also really helps. So you can get all your questions answered. This is something where in the early stages, you're gonna want to check with people. There is stuff to learn, so don't assume that you'll do this all fully on your own. Make sure that you can get plugged in with the right person, with one of our mentors, with other people, so that you can just get your questions answered. Make sure you're doing it the right way. Um, but what you'll see is within a few hours, things will start to click if it hasn't already. And then you will be experts in organizing knowledge in our new open, composable, verifiable knowledge graph and this new internet that really is the foundation of how everything needs to work. So thank you for being a pioneer, being on this journey with us. It's a lot of fun. Should be a great week to start getting things polished and just super excited to see all the contributions rolling through. So keep it coming and super excited for the week ahead. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a really great week.